Facilities meeting today. We do have a quorum. Supervisor Wild was unable to attend today. However, he wanted to listen to the conversation that's going to be conducted. So he's here on a conference call to listen in. So thanks, Mike, for taking the time to join us today.
Thanks, Jack, for the opportunity. I appreciate it.
You're welcome. We'll start with the Building and Grounds agenda. Is there a motion to motion to call the meeting to order? Mr. McDevitt, is there a second? Mrs. Frazier, all in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. Thank you. Motion to approve the minutes of the prior committee meeting. Is there a motion to approve that? Mr. Simpson, Mr. Garrity, second. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. Thank you. Okay, we do have under the action agenda, new business, a request for a notice of intent to fill a position. I'll turn that over to Kevin Hayjoes. I think it's pretty self-explanatory.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. This position was created last year during the budget process. This was similar to the cleaner position that we brought last month. This was when the court facility was to come online that we needed that extra position to do some of the maintenance under buildings and grounds. So again, it was created last year during the budget, and we're going to backfill the position now.
So moved.
Is there a second? Mr. Garrity, all in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. Thank you. Okay, items for referral and pending items. Turn that over to Frank.
I don't know, Mr. Chairman, if there's any action on this. This is the trash plan on Lower Warren Street. I don't believe there's been any more come before the committee. I think we're still looking at options down there.
Supervisor Wild has been working on that, and hopefully he'll have something to report back to the committee in the next meeting.
Okay.
So I would encourage that we continue to go month to month with that facility until we make a decision ultimately on that facility going forward. Anything else?
The next item is information and discussion of court project update. Phase 2, the sheetrock is approximately 95%. Terrazzo was poured last Friday. It needs to be ground and polished. Probation waiting area was turned over last Friday. There's a few small items to clean up there. The steel support for the concrete beams is in progress. Demo on the concrete columns that the steel is replacing will probably start late this week or early next week. There's a little bit of sprinkler work to be done. Corridor 300, which is the main corridor from the old part of the building into the new part, is completed. The epoxy floor is complete. Ceilings will be done this week, and plumbing is completed. Contractors are talking mid-fall for completion of phase 2. They're actually talking sooner than that. I think that's a little optimistic.
Good. Any questions for Mr. Morehouse?
And budget-wise, we're doing okay on that?
Yep.
We're still under budget. We haven't. We're close. So if we're in the black, we're in the black probably by $30,000 to $50,000 at the most at this time.
Any other questions? Thank you.
I believe
Okay.
that's all we have.
That's it? Okay. At this time, I would like to open up the privilege to the floor to talk about any items that have come up at this particular meeting. Mr. Whitehead.
I'd just like to point out that the emergency van is still sitting there parked in the lot, and this is something that's been discussed for well over a year as far as whether that belongs to be parked there in the weather or not, or whether the spot that was paid for it, which we put additional money into to go ahead and assure that it met certain codes and stuff. All that's been done, and it's still sitting. So, I mean, you kind of wonder if the inmates are running the asylum here. I mean, you guys, I thought, agreed that that was going to be. In fact, you were told. My understanding is that there was some audit here, and the people that hand out all this free grant money were a little concerned that some of their equipment was sitting out in the weather, and it was, that also got you guys looking at, developing a space. The space is there, and there it sits.
I'll try to address that. I know you brought this up a couple of months ago. I had some conversations with the county administrator. I agree with your sense of frustration. He was informed that after the barricade, the equipment would be moved. It hasn't been. I think that we need to talk to the county administrator and possibly request or order a directive to move it by a specific date, or we'll take that further. I'm not going to continue to put up with it. I've heard it from you. Again, the county administrator, I've spoke with him, and nothing's been done. And we have put significant amount of money into that property that's just sitting vacant down there. We could possibly use it for storage. However, the equipment's got to be moved, and it's unacceptable. So hopefully by the next meeting we'll have the equipment moved, or we'll come up with another solution. So you're welcome. Anything else? Okay. I don't believe we have to adjourn, do we? We can move right into the next agenda, which would be the facilities agenda. Is there a motion to call the meeting to order? I'm all set. What I'd like to mention, though, is that at the end of the agenda, once we complete privilege of the floor, I'd like to go into an executive session to discuss contractual negotiations at that point in time. I don't anticipate any action coming out of that discussion, but I'd like to conclude the agenda and then move into an executive session if the board chooses to do that. So, is there a motion to approve the committee meetings? Did that too. Great. Item 2 is the amendment of lease agreement with Schermerhorn Aviation for construction of hangars 7 and 8. I turn that over to Kevin.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Discussions.
The Schermerhorn Aviation has completed their FONSI through the FAA, which provided them a finding of no significant impact to construct their next 2 hangars. They already had approval to construct 5 and 6. They needed to be able to construct 7 and 8. FAA has given us that FONSI. So we need to hold a public hearing to enter into a lease agreement for hangars 7 and 8, which would be held at the August 17th board meeting.
Is there a second? All in favor? Motion carries. Thank you. Next item on the agenda is the committee tabled the request to amend Resolution 671 of 2015, which pertained to an increase in the amount owed for services associated with the eminent domain procedure law. Enforce request to allow the county attorney to review the contract. The committee's approved the request to amend the resolution, but the county office was holding the resolution in their office for further research. Is there anything to report on that today?
Yes. So after review of the contract limited the amount for his services to $18,627. His proposal also said that he would stay within that not to exceed amount. And his proposal said that that included motion practice and trial. And further, there is also a letter from him stating that he won't exceed that amount. So it's up to the committee whether or not you want to pay him in addition for those services, but there are 3 documents that limited him to the $18,000.
Thank you. My recommendation under those letters that we have in hand that we do not pay him for the additional services. He was obligated and to perform under those conditions, and that would be my thoughts on that particular topic. Mr. Beatty.
Yeah, I'd concur with you, Mr. Chairman. When we have, solid documents indicating what we'll pay, how much the scope of what he will do and so forth, and then come back after the fact, I think we set a bad precedent when we allow that. I'm not going to to agree to spending any more than what we agreed to spend, and what he agreed to take. And he knew, both parties knew up front, very clear, very simple, what we wanted, what he would provide, and the cost. So I concur with you, Mr. Chairman.
I just wanted to add, I'm not sure where he's at with his invoices right now. I don't think we've even hit the 18,000 up front yet, so I'm assuming you'll ask him to write a letter to say, you know, get us to that 18,000 or submit an invoice up to that 18,000.
I thought he's gone over.
I don't think he had yet. I'll take a look at it again. I'm not sure that he had. Okay.
Mr. Garrity?
The only thing I'll add, I'm a little disappointed that the attorney came and kind of misrepresented what they agreed to. You know, I think that's unfortunate that we come to a public meeting and make a statement that wasn't factual after reading the document. He clearly didn't know what he was talking about, and that's unfortunate.
I would totally agree with Kevin. I mean, that was not his best day. Not his best day.
Okay. Any other comments on that issue? Thank you. Okay, we'll move on to the next item. It's information for discussion. I'll turn that over to Kevin.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Before I go into that, I just want to, I've told you all along for the last couple of months, or at least the last month and a half, that we're going to hire a new airport manager. That new airport manager is here now. His name is Don DeGraw. I know that a couple of you have introduced yourselves to him. Right, real quick, I'm going to turn it over to Don and let him run through that, but I just wanted to sort of give a background on what Don's done in the airport business. Don was an airport operations specialist at Burlington International Airport from 1993 to 2001. He became the assistant airport manager and operations specialist with the state of Vermont from 2001 to 2008. At 2008, that's when Don came here to Floyd Bennett Memorial Airport between 2008 and 2011. Don has since left and gone out to Yellowstone and worked out there as commercial service for SkyWest Airlines. Then moved on to the manager of aeronautical services at JFK, and then wound up down in Marathon Key and Key West, where he was the assistant director of airports, and then became the director of airports in 2014. And now Don's back with us, and I'm glad to have him.
I'm very happy to be back. Thank you.
Don, I'll turn it over to you now.
Okay, great. Well, good morning, everybody, and very happy to be back here in Warren County. I feel like I'm back home again. A couple items. I started at the beginning of July, so I'm about a month into it here. We have a pretty substantial construction project starting up August 20th, and they're going to be doing crack sealing on all the airport surfaces, some line striping, and they're going to be replacing 100% of all our box signs on the airfield. So that's Baseline King is doing that. It's a 1-month project, and we will have some pretty significant closures of the different surfaces. Both runways are going to be closed, alternating. So our main runway, runway 119, which is our primary use runway, will be closed, I'm not exactly sure, 5 to 10 days. So we will have some impact. We'll try to keep it a minimum impact to the SCO. And we have 3 consultants, as I'm sure you know, and I've met with each of them. CNS is primarily focusing on our environmental assessment for the runway extension. McFarland Johnson is going to be handling our marketing grant, and Passero is going to be working with them on the grant we just got from the state for the 20 hangars, 2 10-bay hangars equaling 20. Every 5 years the FAA requires we re-up our consultant bid, so pretty soon here I'll be looking for permission to put out an RFQ for that, and I think these guys are due the beginning of 2019, February or March, somewhere in there. And of course Balloon Fest, I'll probably turn this over to you a little bit, Kevin, but it's coming up September 20th through 23rd. We're starting to prep for that, and one of the items is the Adrian, who has been handling the RV parking on the hill now for many years, is requesting that the county not provide bus service and allow him to provide the bus service. They will provide additional insurance for us, and he's also asking that we delete the resolution from 2016, which required them to pay $10 a head for parking up there. I just talked to him this morning. Right now they get about 100 campers up there. They charge $45 a camper for the 3-day weekend, and for the past 2 or 3 years, $10 of that has come back to the county. So he's asking that we waive that and resolve that resolution. And you want to talk about that? before we
Yeah,
move on?
the resolution came in 2016 to add that fee in for $10. The fee was, what it was stated for in the resolution was for parking up on the hill. It didn't say anything about the bus service that we provide. The county has probably a 20-passenger, 25-passenger bus that we used to take up to the hill and grab into the RVers and bring them down to the event. Last year it became, I guess, a little bit of an issue because we also had the parking at the end of 1230 across Queensberry Avenue. So we were running in both areas to pick up people and bring them back. They decided this year that they would rather bring their own bus in, and I guess my opinion would be I don't have an issue with them doing that, provided they name us as additionally insured, but I'd rather not waive the $10 fee just because it offsets our overtime for the Balloon Fest.
We also provide mowing up there, and if they get stuck, we help them get out.
Right.
So there are some services that we do provide to them, and they recognize that.
Mr. Garrity?
Who owns the property?
The county does.
Okay.
I would, my opinion, I would have to agree with Kevin in regards to waiving the fee. I don't agree with that simply because that revenue's been budgeted in the 2018 budget, and there is a significant expense to the county to provide services during that event. I think that runs somewhere between $24,000 to $30,000 that the county is on the hook for providing the services needed to host that quality event. So any time that we can get any revenue for the airport, I would suggest that we continue to do that. Mr. Garrity?
I just have another question. So was he tying him providing the bus in to the $10 if we forgive?
He was, but that's not what the resolution read.
I mean, so if you don't forgive, he won't run the bus?
I think he's running the bus.
He's going to run, he wants to run the bus irregardless.
Yeah, because last year he said he had 100 people waiting on the hill in the morning trying to get down. It was very frustrating for everybody.
Okay.
He definitely wants to run the bus. He's looking for our approval to let him run the bus, and then secondarily he's asking that we waive the $10.
Mr. Leggett?
There's $45 for the camping, plus $10 for the parking. Is that how it works?
No, it was $45, so he was receiving, we were getting 10 of that, and he was getting 35 of that. So now he wants to keep it at 45.
He wants to keep all 45.
So what I had mentioned to him this morning when we were talking was, why don't you just raise it to 55, still only $18 a day, and you keep your 45, we get 10, and I don't think anybody probably worry too much about an extra $10 for 3 days of markets too.
Makes sense. What did he say that?
He said he would rather not do that, but he was open to it. He would bring it back to the board if that's what the committee decided.
I think that's a good solution. I like that.
Mr. Beatty?
I mean, so we own the property, and he's renting out the RVs and getting $35 a whack, and we get $10. Now he's saying, we don't even want to give you guys your $10 per RV.
On our property.
Am I missing something?
No.
Okay, well then, I would...
The numbers, based on my historical experiences with issues like this, people feel that municipalities should be a little bit more generous, but in this case, most of them don't understand the fact that we have obligations and expenses that we need to pay, and every once in a while you got to say no, and in this case, I don't believe this is a resolution being put forth that we agree with this proposal. But I think the numbers speak for themselves. Yeah, there's an imbalance there, but maybe we need to work on that.
Maybe we go back and say, how about we split it? 45, 22, 50
It might be a little late at this time, but it could certainly be something we can discuss going forward, if the board would like to do that.
I just think we're going backwards on it. I want to go forward.
Well, yeah. I'm not disagreeing with you, but the festival is what, 6 weeks away.
I think Don's suggestion is a great one.
Yeah.
Raise it to 55, and we all move on.
So I don't think we're looking to take any action on this particular issue. Mr. McGowan?
Yeah, I would say raise it to 55, and why don't we take 50?
You're all hurt.
I was out there bright and early in the morning, and there was a lot of RVs up on the hill there, and, it does cost the county a lot of money, and this guy's making a lot of money off our property.
Well, I would say again that it's kind of a little bit late, but if the board wants to discuss this with him, that's fine with me, but it certainly can be a topic of discussion for 2019, and maybe we can get a better deal. Yeah.
Real quick, Mary, will we need a resolution to allow him to run his own van up there this year?
Yeah, 'cause we'll have to enter into a contract.
Okay. So you want to put a resolution forth authorizing,
The use of the Adirondack or the Northeast RVers to run a van up on the hill,
okay?
bring their patrons down to there.
Just one other question. What would be a typical rate? Mr. Wild texted me, thanks Mike, he just texted me, wants to know what a typical rate for an RV, parking an RV would be.
I'm not sure what that is, probably depending on what you allow for services. If there's connection to public utilities, it may run a little bit higher. I don't know that. We certainly can include that in our research or to prepare for our discussions in 2019.
And we had him come in probably, right?
And talk to him, sure.
Yeah, I think that would be
Yeah.
very fruitful to have
Yep.
the...
We can lay out, our expense side of the airport, the need to raise our revenues. Anything else? Mary, do we need to put a resolution forth then to authorize?
Yes.
So is there a motion, or is there a motion to put on the floor a resolution to authorize, what is this company?
Northeast RVers, I believe it is.
Northeast
Yeah.
RV, to permit them, allow them to use their own bus for transportation at the Warren County Balloon Festival dated September 10th through the 13th. Mr. McDivitt put it forward. Second, Mr. Leggett.
Make sure the dates are right.
Oh, you don't think these... Okay, let's not include the dates. I was just taking it off the agenda. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. Thank you. Is Mr.
We have one more item on there.
Ejos? Okay.
I'm going to turn this actually over to Rich Ayer, and they could talk about this next one, which is proposed for the Collins Foundation.
Steve Evans, Rich Ayer. Collins Foundation approached me a few weeks back.
Would you like to go to the microphone and
Sure.
put your name into the record, please?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Steve Evans with Rich Ayer. Mr. Ken Miles, he's the Collins Foundation director, reached out to me back in early July. They're doing the Wings tour. Basically, the Collins Foundation is a foundation that goes and tours across the country with old warbirds. Their mission is to basically educate the public by actually showing firsthand, live touch, live experiences with actual pieces of history. And they're a not-for-profit organization. They tour around the country with B-17s, B-24s, B-25s, and P-51s, and show them to the public. They offer tours as well as rides, and in some cases also demonstrations where you could possibly learn to fly in particular cases. Obviously there are certain fees scheduled with that too, but the idea is to educate and promote aviation and they reached out to us to see if they'd be, if we could welcome them into Glens Falls, and I said I'd be more than happy to. We presented this to the airport manager, Don DeGraw, as well as the county, and so it's on the committee's agenda today to see if the county would approve that, so then we can start with the process, getting them in on the schedule, which we have slated thus far. It's the week before Balloon Festival, which is typically our slowing down period, which would be perfect timing just before the Balloon Fest, from September 10th through the 13th. And it would have no impact to our operations, nor the counties, I believe, and they would pretty much handle all the insurances and media events as well.
And I believe if anybody wants to fly in a P-51, it's $400, but they'll pick you up in one.
Right.
Any questions?
Seems like a reasonable idea. Great activity, movement.
Absolutely. Thank you. No, it's not that I'm aware of, at least in the almost 10 years that I've been here, but another foundation that's been here previous to this, similar. They all work together. I think it was the Confederate Air Force that was up here previous.
Yeah.
That did a B-17 tour, but it's the same idea. We had a successful operation with them, so they reached out to us. They try to do a cycle every 3 or 4 years on the different airports, and that way everybody has the opportunity to see the wonderful history that we have in the country.
The airport manager okay with this? I'll make a motion.
Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. Thank you. Thank you. Okay, privilege of the floor. Mr. Whitehead.
Well, before you go into executive session, which at the moment wouldn't be possible because you don't have 6 people sitting here, but if Mr. Leggett comes back in, you would have 6 people. If anybody objects, you would not. But the point I'd like to make is that Dr. Schwenker and I sat on an advisory committee, which met monthly, and we're talking about, negotiations, what we can do best to get the costs down on the airport. This is probably my focus. How we could best, make this thing more attractive for local pilots and everything, which may have been Mr. Schwenker's reason for being there. None of us, neither of us, ever got to the point where we actually were able to discuss this with members of the board. The chairman at that time never showed up, as far as I know, at one of those meetings. Even the county chairman didn't show up to very many of them. And if you're about to go into executive session, I would just ask that Mr. Schwenker and I be allowed to join that as well. I know I would be willing to go ahead and, promise, cross my heart that I won't talk to Don or to Steve Abbott or anybody else if there are certain things there that you're concerned about. But I do think that I know Mr. Schwenker can contribute to this discussion. I think I probably could as well. And I'm just saying, for executive session, you're welcome to invite anybody in anywhere. So as you decide what to do, keep that in mind.
What I would suggest is that you and Mr. Schwenker put your talking points into a format, and I will then bring that to the board for latter discussions. This is a preliminary discussion today. We're not looking to take any actions, but we certainly would welcome your input if you want to put it into a format, and we'll include that in at that point in time.
If I can respond to that, I put a lot of time into this already. I'm not willing to put any more time into this. I do feel that, this issue, actually there was a proposal that came from, an unsolicited proposal that came from Mr. Skibblehart there well over a year ago that would save the county $450,000. Whether that would have amounted to $450,000 or something else, who knows? Because we never talked about it in any detail. So, but that, a lot of things have changed. A lot of water has gone over the dam at that point. Part of that money was based on the fact that he would essentially be doing the job that Mr. DeGraw has been hired to do. I hear nothing but good things about Mr. DeGraw. There's a lot of things that changed. But the fact of the matter is that for over a year and a half, that proposal sat there untouched, and in my opinion, I stated it many times, it was sabotage on the part of this board to go ahead and maneuver things around so that you wouldn't have to take that proposal seriously. And now you've worked yourself into a point where you have absolutely no leverage on what you're going to do about the next 5-year extension. The RFP already went out. We already know only one FBO is interested in this. What incentive does he have to sweeten the pot? I don't know. You guys have blown it. And if you want to exclude me from today's discussions, again, your choice.
Again, I would recommend, at least from my perspective, that we exclude you and Mr. Schwenker at this point in time. I will defer to our negotiating committee, and we haven't really completed that at this point in time. They've worked hard at it. That discussion that you mentioned that was brought forward, where there was no action taken a year or so ago on the additional responsibilities, I will defer that later on to see if that discussion ever took place at this point in time. But we aren't at the end of the road yet in regards to this, and I certainly appreciate your interest. If you would like to put your comments into a format, it'll get to this board, and we can talk about how and if they could be included into the discussions going further. So we're not excluding you from providing us information. I just feel that this is at a point where we're still at a draft, and that to invite the public into this is not prudent.
That's fine. You need 5 more people that agree with you. Thank you.
Okay? Is there a motion to, any other comments from the public?
I'd be happy to meet with any of you at any time. I'm not
Okay.
sure trying to blindly put a proposal forward is productive for me or any other pilot group, but there's a lot of people out here who want the airport to be successful, who want Rich to be successful, county to be successful, and maybe I have some insight if somebody wants to talk to me, how to find me, Doug in particular. Across the street. Right across the street. So I'm available. My second comment was fun to see the airport really busy the last few weeks.
Good. Thank you for your offer. Mr. Garrity.
My take on it, this is the first time we're really going to see anything in writing on the airport proposal. I would not be opposed to schedule another meeting and give both of them a copy of any proposals we may look at, and then bring it in for a second meeting to try to have them critique what we get. I mean, I've not seen anything in writing, but in the future, I think this doesn't have to be done today. This is going to be a first run through, right?
Yeah, this is not the intention to make a decision today. It's just to share information on what we've collected.
At a meeting in a couple of weeks where maybe we could share this information after we read it.
We'll talk
I'm not
to...
opposed to having them come in, because they have done a lot of work, and we do appreciate the outside work that you do, but I just don't think today is the right time. That's just my opinion.
For other people in the community too, that I think be happy to participate.
Because it does have an impact on it.
I'm retired, so I can show up at these meetings. Other people, it's a little more out of the way.
Sure. Okay. Any other comments to be added? Mr. Beatty.
I wouldn't be opposed at all to having Dr. Schwenker or Mr. Whitehead attend an executive session. I think their insight's a little different than our insight, because they have put in tons of hours, and Dr. Schwenker's a pilot. Travis plays one on TV as a pilot, and I think having those two guys, though, who are very knowledgeable, I think only adds to our full breadth of the situation and the negotiation. So if not today, although I wouldn't be opposed to having them sit in today's meeting, then in the very next meeting, I definitely want them to sit in on an executive session and have them add any insight they can to our committee.
So is there a motion to have an executive session today, and then next meeting have an official executive session, and we'll invite Mr. Whitehead and Mr. Schwenker to participate. Because we're not taking any action today. We're sharing information that we've collected. Give the board member a chance, the board members, to think about it, maybe talk amongst each other, and then at the next meeting, look a little bit closer at the information that we're provided.
So you're looking for a motion now to allow them to come in the next one, is that what we're
No,
saying?
I'm looking for a motion now to host an executive session today, and
I'll make that
we will invite them to attend the next facilities meeting in the executive sessions.
I'll make that motion.
Okay? Is there a second? All? Yes.
Can I have clarity on what exactly you're going to executive session to discuss?
We're going to discuss contractual negotiations, information that we've collected over time with negotiating a FBO contractual agreement. We still haven't closed that process with Rich Air, but we want to update the board on options.
As far as the information, we've had the response for a while.
Okay. It was also asked by the other board members also to provide a proposal or concept, so to speak, on the county being an FBO operator.
I understand it was a matrix for us, something to look at, read. I didn't get anything in writing before, did we?
No, we talked about it in executive sessions, but we've never shared that information publicly or put it in writing up till this point in time.
I don't think we need to wait a full 30 days
you
to
know,
schedule another meeting.
The board, the committee, negotiating committee's done a good job, but I want to just have an update on exactly where we're at this point in time, and they may need to reconvene. It's up to the board. Rich?
Yeah, this question, I think Travis has done a lot of good things, and I'm sure your intentions are good as well, but you're talking about a contract negotiation, and I think the most important thing that we're all seeing, not just in our community, but nationwide now, is transparency. If you're going to allow some groups in, and again, I don't think there's any intentions here by any means. I think everyone's interests are in the best interest of the county, but we're starting to say this person can go to executive session. I've just, all the years I've been, 30 years of being involved in the county, I've never seen where they pick and choose who goes to executive session and who doesn't. I mean, again, whatever you decide.
That would be, in my experience also, I have to agree with you, we've never selected individuals to participate.
Usually it's, when you divide, it's important, I think, transparency, where if there's different opinions, different ideas, that you work together, not against one another. And I'm not saying by any means that these guys are, their intentions are any different than what mine may be for the county and the FBO, but it just sounds like we're picking and choosing who's going to go to meetings and who isn't. That's all. And again,
Well,
I won't be upset however you decide, because I'm always willing to whatever the majority feels.
But I think as the process continues, Rich, it'll be very open. There'll be public hearings, there'll be open discussion after we take a look at some of the numbers and digest those numbers.
I fully agree, but executive session means executive session. You're putting in people that...
I guess that would be
excluded, that's
that
all.
would be up to the board. I don't care either way. I've never experienced that at my level of government, where we picked and choose people from the public that wanted to participate. But hey, if that's what the board wants to do, go get them. But Mr. Leggett.
Is the FBO, is Rich Air going to be invited in today?
No. This is just for the board to take a look at. We have transformed numbers from our negotiating team of Mr. McDivitt, Mr. Beatty, Mr. Sokol onto in a document, so everybody can look at it. We're also going to look at other numbers that we worked at, and we're not looking to make a decision out of today.
And
We're
no
not.
need to do any further interview within...
It's going to be determined from the board, this committee here, and we haven't foregone the negotiations, they're still open. I spoke to Mr. Schimmerhorn prior to the meeting that we haven't concluded that, and there still might be work to be done in regards to that. But we've got to get this moving along, and I think today is a good starting point so everybody can have a swipe at the numbers. Rich?
And again, like I said, I'm not upset in any way, but as far as doing what's best for the county in the base pilots, the transients, we're always trying to do everything we can. I have provided Don with, just last week, bring him up to speed on some more updated fuel numbers, just so he understands, because I know questions will come up. So I have provided some good fuel breakdown of how much the base tenants are using right now and how much the transients are using. So it really gives a helpful and a clear picture of where things would be, are right now, and I'm sure Don will be able to help them. So, but again, I appreciate everything everyone's ever done for me, and I am always trying to do what's best. But however you guys see it, I'm totally fine with it.
Okay, so again, is there a motion to go into exec? Huh? We got it? Did we get a second?
Yeah.
Is everybody favorable on that? Because I think we need the entire board.
No, you don't need the entire board, you need 6.
Okay. Is there a motion to, we got the motion. All in favor?
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Okay, motion carries. Thank you.
Okay.
Here, want to say 8's good with
Okay.
me?
Eight is good?
Yeah.
There was no action taken in regards to our executive session. Is there a motion to adjourn? Mr. Simpson?
I'm not on the committee, sorry.
Not on the committee.
I was voting
Harry.
for
Favor?
Chairman for
Motion
the
carries,
day.
thank you.
Okay, thank you, Don.
Next meeting
Appreciate it.